because everything is built on the old world today, and everyone is chasing blockchain now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm putting my company on the blockchain, or I'm putting my app on the blockchain, and I got Web3, baby. And well, they're already chasing yesterday's technology. This, what we are looking at when it's built out, won't even need, blockchain will be an optional component. You don't even need it.
To me, it seems like it actually could be the answer to, the whole CBDC scare that everyone's kind of worried about, digital ID and this whole monster beast system that everyone's worried about getting pulled into. And this could actually be a solution to kind of work around that whole idea.
Right? You think about it, what they're controlling with the CBDC is your currency. Okay. Huh. We don't need currency for our system. We end run right around them. And there's not a damn thing they can do to stop it. Not a single thing.
All right, welcome to Verified. I'm Chad, better known as Riz, and I'm joined with Marco, VeTest Uprising, and we're going to go through some of Reggie's recent posts talking about the new peer-to-peer trading platform, and then move right into the Waco nodes. So we're going to start simple and go pretty technical here. Marco, welcome back. Appreciate you joining me.
Thanks, Riz. Yeah, looking forward to the discussion. I've been heads down in the lab building stuff, so it's good to resurface every now and then and talk to the world.
Perfect. So I guess we're going to jump right into Reggie's post, kind of give us a little bit of context of where we're going. So here he basically highlights how two people and their agents can set up a trade. And actually, Marco's got a nice PDF here that's going to kind of run us through this in a little bit more detail. So I'm not going to spend too much time here, but he does show a little sample video along with kind of these two images that kind of walk you through the steps. And again, Marco's got a nice little PDF here that we're going to jump right into. So do you have that ready by chance? Do you want to
I
kind
do.
of jump into that?
I do. Let me go ahead and turn on my share. And essentially, what I've done, Riz, is I'm using Reggie's tweet that he put out as a sort of that's the beginning of my requirements, right? And so I turned it into this PowerPoint presentation, and it seems like forever ago, but this was only on the 15th, so only a couple weeks ago we started down this path. But what I did
A lot is
is
happening. A lot is happening in a very short amount of time.
it's so true. The time flies. Oh, a week here is a month in the real world. It really is. It's amazing. So what I did, I took his tweet and I put it into this PowerPoint and ended up with this PDF. And so I started with color coding it with the roles and the entities involved in the thing, and so that you can kind of see as we go through here what happens with each role, right? So there's essentially we have two people coming in, the intent maker and the intent taker. So these are the two entities party to the deal. Now, I'd normally say people, but where we're headed, where we already are, the intent maker and the intent taker could be either a person or a machine, right? It, it in a lot of cases you don't even know if you're talking to a machine anymore. They're so good. So it could be where Reggie's headed with his code is machine to machine or people to machine, people to people. It handles all those interchangeably. In many cases, you don't even know. And so these two, I'll call them people for now, even though they're, people could also be an agent being, a machine running on your part, on your behalf. Uh, they meet in this thing he called the intent channel. It's a public space, right? So anyone can come into the intent channel and post their intent. And we'll see that in a few minutes when we do the demo. But basically, by posting into the intent channel, what you're doing is you're saying, hey, I want to do something. I have an asset I want to swap, and you or trade with somebody, right? So you list your intent out in the intent channel. When someone else expresses their uh, desire to uh, potentially swap with you for that, whatever you have in your intent, you move into a private P2P topic. In the Waku world, this would be a private space, a room or a community or a cell where it takes a key or some other ability to unlock the room and get in. And Reggie's implementation basically has one person or entity with simplified. They have half the key, the other entity has the other half. So intent maker has a half a key or part of it. The intent taker has a part. They put them together after they've met in the intent channel, and that allows them to enter this private room, a private P2P space where all the juicy parts of the negotiation happens. The agents get in. So I'll just follow this through, and then we can get kind of a high level view of what that flow is. So intent maker, the blue entity, posts something out there with help, especially going forward, with help or solely by your agent. Perhaps your AI agent is acting on your instructions. You give it instructions. You say, I want to go buy a white refrigerator for maximum of $1,000. Boom. And you post your intent. Someone out there responds. They say, oh, hey, somebody's looking for a refrigerator. I got one. I have a white one here. I'm going to respond to that person's message. They create what Reggie called a padlock key, and they express their intent to the intent maker. And the intent maker says, hey, maybe we got something here. So they take both of their components, their secret half of the key, and they combine them. And then that allows them to move into this private room that no one else has the key to. Just you two, your two agents, no one else, and the instructions that you've given your agent. And so they're in the room. Then what they can do when they're in the room is this is the magic. They can do private negotiation based on the rules you gave your agent. So if you told your agent, I'm willing to spend up to $1,000 for a white refrigerator, you can get as detailed as you want. I want the ice box on top and the other part on the bottom, or vice versa, whatever your requirements are. And I'm willing to spend up to 1,000, but I really want to buy it for 700. And I'm okay with a scratch and dent or an extended delivery time. What you put all your rules in. The seller, they have all their rules. I have a refrigerator, it's white. Here's the parameters on it, all its features. I'm willing to go down to 700 and not any lower, blah, blah. So the two parties then come into this room with all their rules. And these are just the sort of the different components playing into this, right? We have the AI agent and its role. It's going to draft counter offers. It can run simulations. Reggie did a good job in his recent video talking about some of this, right? Well, maybe bad news comes out in the market and my little agent is fastest one that reacts to the market mayhem and goes out and it scoops up some good deals or whatever, right? External events. It's just sitting there looking for deals, and when it finds a potential deal, it jumps on it. But the components involved, we got our public square, we've got padlock keys. I don't have that colored yet, and secret. I've just started building those components, so that's in progress. We've got a private room already built for the capability with red. Encrypted messages are built in, they go with that. You're posting in a public square. also known as the intent channel. And in essence, the flow, to recap, we have an intent maker. I want to trade US dollars for my white refrigerator. Oh, we have a buyer. We have an intent taker. Oh, hello, I'm interested in that $1,000 refrigerator that's white. I don't want to pay. I'm not going to tell you yet. I don't want to pay that, but let's go talk. And your agents put together their private keys. They enter the private room. They enter into their negotiations. Right? These are things the agent is doing on your behalf. Right? Simulating, running simulations on what could happen if I buy this and the market does this. Right? It's going through all these different outcomes, seeing if it's a good deal or not. It wants to know, is the risk worth it? All, flags all that. Maybe it does some potential risk mitigations, runs through that. What will that cost? And okay, translates all that details, and it says, "Yep, I I'm good with that refrigerator." They both come to the agreement. Okay, $700 for a white refrigerator. It'll be delivered on the 15th or whatever. Boom, it's done. You come out of the private room. It gets broken down basically, and you either have a deal or you're not, or you don't. Right? Your agents came to an agreement, or mine was, I was just driving a hard bargain. Maybe I'm just out fishing, seeing what the market will bear, but I'm only willing to go to 600, and they wanted 700, and we couldn't meet, so we back out, and that's it. You end up, your assets are removed, taken back out of the contract and given back into your wallet, and you both go your merry way. Or the deal is consummated. Reggie's code has two paths for that. The first happy path, I call it, is to use the blockchain, right? Go close the transaction on the blockchain. So I swapped some BTC for USDC. But beyond that, when we move past that happy path and bring in other assets, then it can be anything, right? It could be, tokenized precious metal in the ground, or whatever that they're willing to spend maybe USDC on. And so you put that in your offer, in your intent, and publish it. It's sort of a discovery place, right? That public square, you have all these parties trying to discover deals with each other. And when they find one, if it's a non-blockchain asset, then Reggie's code will basically consummate the transaction through an HTLC. And I know, Riz, you know about that. That's fairly new terminology to me. That's the hash time locked contract. So it's sort of like a blockchain contract, but doesn't require a blockchain, is how I think of it. It's extremely simplified, but that's kind of what that is. So
And
that's the
you made a nice reference too that basically this replaces the whole catalog, and it's yeah, basically it's more about searching and discussing rather than basically buying from a catalog.
right. It's going to be discovering those assets wherever they are, versus in today's world, the appliance store has a fixed catalog of what they can get, right? There's only so many refrigerators you can sell and appliances, and they have them all 1,000 models listed, but that's it. Well, in the beginning, we have that, right? With Reggie's code, it's limited to the blockchain because that's the happy path to get started. But your point, eventually it doesn't just say BTC and USDC, it says anything you plug in there, right? White refrigerator for 700. And then the age, it goes off, and the catalog is basically every asset in the world now,
Hmm.
right?
Very
And it's
cool.
hard to imagine, but somebody, anywhere on the globe could be selling any asset denominated in any other asset. And so that's one thing the people that live in countries that are used to more than one currency can already, they kind of have their brain already trained a little bit on swap, oh, BTC denominated in dollars, Canadian dollars, Ethereum, frogs, right? It could be denominated in anything, but it's when a lot of people in the US just, oh, it's dollars. That's all they think about is the other half of the equation is dollars. Not anymore. Dollars isn't even in the equation anymore.
Hmm.
Dollars, dollars started because the farmer needed to sell his produce, but you can't just nobody wants to buy an acre of grapefruits, right? So you exchange it for money and you hold the money and then you use that. It's the intermediary right in the beginning is the money.
Hmm.
Well, that's out of the equation now. That's gone. It's the at one asset to another, and it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around that. It's such a paradigm shift.
Sure. And then you got the negotiation layer. So, as you brought up the white fridge, like, hey, you want a white fridge for $700, but hey, I got a gray fridge. It's got a dent in it. It's still new, but it got a little dent in it when we brought it into the store, but I'll sell it to you for 600. And this brings in a whole other
Right,
concept.
right. The bartering, it's getting back down to bartering, and my dad used to call it horse trading. Right, you'd go out and you horse trade. You cut the best deal you can, and you get the most of whatever you're wanting, and likewise with the other person. And dollars isn't even in the equation anymore. It's hard to wrap your mind around it because there's no common there's nowhere to go look up what my frogs are worth, right?
Sure.
So that's the discovery piece of it, and that's kind of, I think, probably leads into showing now uh, some of our operations and what we got going here to build up to support Reggie and to build the tools we're doing to build and to enable his set of tools that he's putting out all starts with the Waku node. And this is a bit technical. I won't go down into detail on any of this. Some point when I carve out some time, I'll put a technical video out on my YouTube channel that explains it all. But basically, what we're looking at is my node's operation. And there's several categories of operation on here. I'll go through really quickly. Reggie's being quite modest in his video because what he's not showing is the entire back end out here that's running. This took me weeks of learning, and getting it up and running. It's pretty heavy in the engineering space. A network engineer would do great here. But kind of one concept we have, I'll just share it in general. We can build on this in the future. Is uh, making the ability or creating a simple package where people can run their own node. They don't have to go through all the configuration I did. We'll pre-configure it. They can run it and it'll just pop up and show the node with the preloaded things that we're going to go through. So
Very
that's
cool.
something that
And
very
just so I understand what a node actually is this similar to like Bitcoin mining, for instance, where the miners are kind of validating the transactions? Like, is the node acting similar to that?
similar. It's not. It's doing validation in a way. There's a feature to prevent spam in there called the RLN, and that's rate limiting nullifier. Your node is doing that. It's essentially it's relaying traffic among all those other nodes because it's a peer-to-peer network. So this harkens back to one of Reggie's early diagrams, that sort of spider web looking diagram. It was the one on the right where it just goes node to node. That's the world we're in, is it's just peer to peer.
Fully distributed.
Yeah, yeah. And so there's no what he talks about being decentralized and or uh, not centralized. There's no central server where this stuff runs on. It just runs out on all these Waku nodes. So there's really no entity. There's no one hosting a blockchain, right? There's no one with an order book. There is no order book.
Right.
The cons It's a total new paradigm.
I
Most of those
picture I
rules.
picture like a Craigslist kind of almost where everyone's just kind of throwing their intent, like you said, out there with seeing if anybody's going to grab it or not.
It is. That's actually a good analogy because essentially that's just barter, right? Most people on there are bartering for currency, right? They put it out and they're selling their old motorcycle for some currency, but we'll just extend the concept. Well, I don't want currency. That stuff's to me, it's worthless paper. It's worth less all the time. I want something more durable. I want to sell my motorcycle for one of those silver rounds. That's what I want, right? So that's where we're headed with this is the catalog is the world, right? Any asset in the world, if you can describe it in your intent, that you're posting out in the public square, if it's describable and someone's interested in it, you could have a deal, right?
Amazing. And then you mentioned a prepackaged node. So am I under the right understanding that Waku is actually kind of moving towards or playing with the idea of rewarding people who run their own node? Is this something like an incentive to run your own node?
Yes, that'd be another good analogy there. That's sort of equivalent to the people that run an Ethereum node or participate in a pool that does. It's a similar kind of concept. Is they recognize it costs you compute cycles. It's not free to run a node, and we should recognize that and reward people. And the Waku community I've seen various references to that. Of They want to incent people to run a node because they know it costs time and money. Right now, the people doing it are either involved in Waku or building on Waku like we are, or just interested in it for the tech. It's some it's some really fun stuff. This P2P, you could build a Waku node for the sole purpose of communicating extremely privately with somebody else on the planet or anywhere that has access to the internet, right? And there's no amount of anybody could block you from it short of taking down Waku itself.
Wow.
Yeah, really powerful. It's really built with privacy in mind. There is no, the centralization is, that's a bad word in
Yeah.
the Waku community.
So basically, just so I can wrap my head around this, you're actually working, so somebody can actually build their own node, but you're actually trying to kind of pre-package a node, basically something that we could share with the community should they want to kind of run their own pre-packaged node.
Yep, correct. Anyone can do what I did. Go out and look at the documentation, and they do make it. It's fairly straightforward, I'll say, just to go start up a node and have a node out of the box, doing nothing very advanced on configuration. In a day or two, you'd be up and running, just starting from scratch without even knowing what Waku is.
Huh.
That's the path I took because I don't know anybody. It's all new. I have no skill, no background until I entered. And so I leaned heavily on the AI to help me out and the Waku documentation. And just by experimentation, created my own node. But to save people, and most people aren't going to want to do that, right?
Sure.
I had reasons, but it was painful at times, just the learning experience. So the concept is pre-build that node, and it's not just a thing, a box that's out there running. It can do things like the concept that one of the ideas we have is replace the VeriDAO website, build a node for VeriDAO and build it right on there. And I'll talk to that when I do the demo, but self-contained. The website's going to be on the node, pure P2P action. You get to it through a regular URL, or you will, but you're in node land. It's a different world. Um,
So
so
you can actually build like a storefront is basically what you're saying. You could build on this node your own website, regardless of what content you have on your website, and run it on a node.
you're reading my mind. That's where I was going to head next. Is future functionality that we want to build into this is just that. Is I can essentially put anything on there that I can code. So there's a few focus areas where I'm building my node that'll eventually turn into the VeriDAO's node, and I'll retain my own as a test. But uh, number one would be establish the node, which I've done. So it's sort of the level zero base functionality. Just get the node up and running. Number two is interface into Reggie's platform, right? Be able to uh, enter into that world sort of seamlessly, and that's
All right, so Zoom kind of just crapped out on us there for a second, but you're back. So I think we were just about to jump into the nodes. So do you want to kind of break down what you've been working on with the nodes?
yeah, perfect, good segue. Let me share my screen, head into the node. So when it died, I think it kind of took down part of what I was talking about. But the point I wanted to make is behind Reggie's code and my code that you're going to see, what I've got pulled up here is a dashboard running that shows basically it's the indicators of how my node is running. So if you're in
So,
your
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but just so I understand, you're actually working kind of side by side with Reggie. You're not actually working on Reggie's node. You're actually trying to replicate and create your very own node.
correct, very good point. Thank you. Um, the the analogy is when we were talking about the public square, I'm operating in my node, the front end here, out in the public square where anyone's allowed.
Gotcha.
So I don't have access to Reggie's code. I don't even know what he has running. I'm inferring based on the interface and what he puts in his tweets out on X. And between those things, I've inferred his environment and built against that. So it just goes to show, yeah, it's the public square. Anybody can do it if they want.
Very cool.
So this node is operating out there. I brought it up uh, recently. You can see the start time here. The Zoom crash kind of knocked me back, but I have it running stably. It'll run for days and weeks at a time. But the Waku environment is a work in progress. So that's something to keep in mind. The code is being developed continually. So new versions do come out and it does change things in my code. So that's just part of the fast moving nature of where we're at. But I'll just kind of gloss over this real quick because there are some heavy details in here. But there are three things basically I'm looking at on my dashboard for my node. One of which the data is displaying here. It's the data store and the database. So my node is relaying traffic. Traffic will get transmitted by the nodes and then relayed out again. And so that's what I'm doing. My node is one of hundreds that's relaying and contributing to the Waku network. And these indicators, for somebody more advanced in Waku than me, a lot of these aren't on yet, but the ones that are active and running, these are giving me feedback points on the database behind my Waku node, right? So this is telling me 9% of my database connections are filled, right? Things like that. How many messages are coming across, being relayed by my node, etc. Speaking of relay, a big function of the node is to relay traffic on the node. And this is a measure of that. So this is the traffic dashboard, so to speak. These are those messages going through my node, the average size of them, right? How many are happening, etc. You can kind of see the various Waku node activities out here just by messages, right? It's a global environment, so sometimes one geography is active and then they go to bed, and other comes, wakes up, and that. So this is real-time indicators of what's going on with the traffic on my node. And then the third component is how it's connecting in. And you can see here when I first booted it up or restarted my stack, my node stack, I went from no connections, and I've got a bootstrap in there where it will bootstrap in. And then as it comes in, it connects in. I become more recognized with the other nodes in the network, and they accept me and start. I become one of the connected peers. So on the of however many nodes are active and running out there right now, based on the content topics I'm linking to, I'm connected into 40 different, 40 different peers. In the Reggie world, I don't have that diagram handy, but it's the spider web node diagram, the one on the right, where there's a whole bunch of nodes directly connected to each other. I'm one of those nodes on that chart with this Waku node right here. So that's kind of what Reggie, being modest, doesn't talk about in his videos. All of this node stuff's running in the background, under the covers, just to support the swap site. And so this is Reggie's swap site here, and it's empty at the moment. This is what he's building out. It's not even, we're kind of going away from the swap terminology. Now what it is, it's not a swap we're sending in an intent to swap. So it's actually more accurate of terminology. So we're going to send in an intent. We're going to broadcast that out to the public square that we talked about. And then any we receive will show up, and the P2P channels as they get activated. And then eventually the swap details would show down here.
And this is what we saw in the video that we just watched with Reggie's live demo. This was all
Correct.
populated with intents.
Correct. That's it. That's it exactly, Riz. And that's a good point for the viewer to know, a reference point. That's what we're looking at. This software that we're looking at here is running on a different node. This is running on Reggie's node that he has, wherever it's located, right? And so this is talking to that parallel or companion. I've built my own node, and on top of my own node, I have my own software running, right? So this is my interpretation or my view of creating an intents that will interact with Reggie's via a community. And so that's one of the bits of technical details when you create an intent. And well, let's just go ahead and do it here and see what happens. Let me do it on Reggie's site first, and we'll kind of follow through with the flow. So you come to Reggie's site, and I'll make it unique. So it's, well, there's nothing here, so it'll be easy. 1 Bitcoin, and let's just say for 100,000. What I got? Okay, so you see, right? I'm going to broadcast my intent to swap 1 Bitcoin for 100,000 USDC. Now, in the real world, that'd get snapped up in a second, right? Because we know Bitcoin's over 100K, so this one wouldn't last long, but it's an example. So when I click broadcast, now you see, oh, it's broadcasting. It's actually sending that out onto the Waku network. It broadcasts that intent offer out onto Waku, and now it's displayed out there. one BTC for 100,000 USDC. Okay, well, that's good, but how do we know that's real? Well, in Reggie's video, he used two different phones. I don't have two different computers, but what I can do is create a private window here that will essentially run the same code, but in a unique instance so that, and let me shrink the first window down and I'll put these side by side. So kind of what we have here is this one that we just broadcast our intent. And now we have one over here where this is a different person, right? This is a different user. They're going to broadcast their intent. Oh, I don't think we have it. We're working with just that setup there. So let's put in, let's say this guy's going from 0.1 and he's only doing 10,000. 10,000. Let's broadcast this person's intent. You see it broadcast, but oh, look at there. What just happened over here in the other side? Look at what just happened. Gee, the sent intents there. Yep, that's the one we put in. Oh, hello. This is going back to that PowerPoint PDF. Somebody else, me in this other window, expressed an intent of, they put in their intent to sell 0.1 for 100, for 10,000, right? Oh, well, those are the same froms and the twos. The only difference is quantity. Maybe we got a partial deal here. Boom, let's drop into the channel swap. Oh, look at there. Looks to me like, that thing consummated in a swap of zero point 0.1 BTC because the,
it's trying to capture part of the trade that you were looking
yeah,
for.
yeah, this guy on the right here got his order filled, so to speak. 0.1, he just swapped 0.1 of this guy's whole Bitcoin. So now he's still operating with 9 to go. But this guy's done. He's out. He got his Bitcoin and he's done. So
Wow.
that's the interaction within Reggie's site. But then you can also let me pop mine out into its own window here. And then we'll have Reggie's on the left. And now VeTest's view of the same community. Remember, we're in the same community now. You can tell by looking at Reggie's topic over here. I don't have that. I have a different way of viewing that currently. But this is how we know the public square we're in is the right public square. Reggie's in this public square named swap-testnet/1, that's the version, /intent. Oh, this is a group of intents, and they're using JSON as the coding method. Oh, interesting. Well, I have a little different feature for that. I can go to my settings screen and see a similar thing. Oh, look at there. When I'm on that community, I'm looking at swap-testnet1 intent JSON. It's the exact same community. Oh, well, that's interesting. That means that, therefore, I should be able to say, let me do it this way for, okay. I've got mine so it'll pop in the current price of Bitcoin. So if I was going to sell one Bitcoin, current price is 113,000 and change roughly. I'm going to swap these and say, I'm going from that and I want one Bitcoin, right? Let's create that swap intent. What will happen when I click it? Oh, look at there. Swap sent successfully. Look at over here. May not have noticed, but first it came in yellow. It popped up and now it's green because it finished. It said, oh, look at there. We've got a new intent. Oh, something didn't match up though. That one failed. Well, I don't know why, but looking at it logically, mm, this guy originally had an intent for one Bitcoin for 100,000 and he got rid of point 0.1, so he's still at point 0.9 Bitcoin for 100,000. This guy's got different terms, right? He's on he's offering a different. Now I don't know. I'm this is how new I'm speculating that probably failed for a different reason, but perhaps the terms didn't match, right? And so this swap deal failed and they exited out of the private room. I don't
And
know.
in
We're
the
not,
future, that's something that could be negotiated.
yes, when you go into one of these private rooms, into the P2P channel here, you and or your agent is negotiating with the other person and or their agent. And inside that P2P channel negotiation, which I haven't built into my code yet, since that just came out yesterday, that negotiation is going on. And maybe that negotiation failed in there. And, they said, well, we can't come to terms, so we're done. We're out. Right. I don't know the parameters on that. I'm speculating, but yeah, that's how that'll work. My P2P channels shows zero active solely because this part of the code I literally just got added late last night after midnight. I haven't even built the code to populate that yet. So that's how fresh this code is, literally from last night, these changes. But you can see my intent, if you probably didn't notice, but before it had 7, now it popped up to 8, right?
So basically, what you just showed is a different node. First, you started off using the same node, um,
Same node of Reggie's with a different entity, different
different
person,
user. Yeah.
the incognito window versus the regular. Then I got rid of the incognito guy and I went to a whole different platform. It's not even connected to Reggie's at all. The only connection is right there, the
It's the
topic.
intent.
That's literally the only connection between the two of us. And the reason is that topic is where the intents are posted. So that's the purpose of this community is this is the public square where people go post their intents. So me as a public person, I don't need Reggie's permission. There's no centralized authority saying you can't post here. So I went and I posted. I posted her in and I put my intent in there and it's in his system. So he doesn't have a lock on the public square. The public square is just what it says. It's for everybody. Now, once you meet another party and there may be some, you see an opportunity to close a deal, okay, now you can exchange padlock keys, go into the private channel and negotiate, right? And you either come out of that deal with an asset, like the one we saw before where it succeeded and he come out with Bitcoin, or it failed. It's a either or coming out of the channel. You have a deal or you don't. And the deal is negotiated based on what you will tell your agent. Now, in this very first rudimentary happy path, it'd still be the same. It works or it doesn't, right? You either meet his terms of 100,000 to 1 or you don't.
Hmm.
If it's less, it should go, right? If somebody put an intent in that said, uh, or more actually, if it said, well, I'm willing to buy point 0.1 for more than 100,000 per Bitcoin, it should jump right on it, right? But this code, I'm fresh, right? We just saw it. It just came out yesterday. I'm speculating on, these points. I'm speculating. What I'm demonstrating is real. This is all actual code running. So that it just goes to show the power of it. Once I have my node set up and I have a basic understanding, I'm going off Reggie's tweet and what's displayed on the front end here. I don't have access to his spec. I don't, nothing else. And yet I'm building successfully, getting my code to integrate with his. And so that's just, it's kind of open P2P, right? It's an open public square, but what you do behind closed doors is your own business by design.
So again, going back to the idea of pre-packaging nodes, this is an example of something that you could pre-package for the community. I know the Very DAO will also do it with Reggie's platform, obviously, and have this pre-packaged for the community to be able to access, whether it's through a web link or not. But the idea of actually having your own node and running it separately, but still being able to connect to what Reggie's building is basically kind of the idea of universality or whatever. Like you're basically being able to connect whatever node that you're creating with another node.
Correct. It's the openness of the Waku P2P implementation that you can go out and without knowing anybody, and this will be Reggie's real world implementation, right? Without knowing anybody, you can go put your in broadcast your intent out to his public square. This will change. It's
Sure.
just text, obviously, but it whatever the ultimate one is, the public square, you can broadcast your intent and there's no central exchange, there's no order book, there's nobody out there. All you're doing is you're exposing your intent to the public square where other people expose their intent to the public square. And if you find each other, then you can go behind closed doors and make a deal.
And this will
It's
get to the point where it's so populated that you will almost need a search or an AI agent to help you search for basically what you're looking for or along those parameters.
right, right. In this new world, it's a different paradigm. It's not just Bitcoin or USDC, it's anything, right? Well, even if we limit it to just Bitcoin and USDC on your example, there's going to be millions of orders in here, right? Millions of people wanting to swap their Bitcoin for USDC or vice versa or whatever with, yeah, gobs of orders just filled in down here. And, maybe we'll add on filtering on here. Okay, right. But really, the filtering will, to your point, will be done by your agent. There's no reason to have people needing to sift through orders to, right? Agent, sell my Bitcoin. I need the 100 grand. Go, let me know when you're done. And you've already told it all the rules around it, timing, whatever, and it just does it. Sends you a little pop-up notice when it's done. There you go. And what a better world there, right? And then to extend that, okay, well now maybe it's a different token. Oh, well, if you're astute in blockchains, you'll notice, well, Bitcoin, these are different blockchains entirely. Bitcoin is a different chain than Ethereum. These can run on different chains. For example, Veri is on Ethereum or Base. Oh, even further, could be any token on any exchange, any lit, yeah, or any blockchain. I mean, yeah.
So like
Oh,
cross-chain, so Bitcoin for Ethereum.
yeah. So that's going to be built into round one here, where almost every DEX out there, there's cross chain is another whole animal. Here, it's just built right in. It's just in the P2P world, there's no difference.
Right,
One
because in the old
blockchain,
world, in the DEX world, you basically have to wrap your Bitcoin to be able to trade it on Ethereum, for instance.
yeah, yeah. If you're trading on Ethereum with Bitcoin, it's wrapped Bitcoin, right? In this case, it's the actual asset. When you exit the deal, you're going to have your wallet. One person will have the Bitcoin in their wallet, and the other person will have the USDC in their wallet, and they're different wallets, right? A Bitcoin wallet's different than an Ethereum wallet. So yeah, any, and then this is the beginning of the mind-blowing part. Oh, well, let's expand even beyond that. No longer is it even a listed asset up here. These are all listed, right? They're certain tokens or coins that run on certain blockchains. Oh, we're going beyond that. We're going to trade frogs for a Bitcoin. Well, how many frogs? Oh, I don't know what that's worth. Maybe it's worth 800. I don't know. Depends on the frog, right? But now now I don't drop down from the catalog of pre-planned choices, limited menu. I put in whatever I want. If I want frogs, I have 100 red frogs for sale, and boom, there it is, and what you want for them, and you broadcast it, and somewhere on the planet, or eventually off the planet, even
Hmm.
somebody's agent is out there looking for red frogs or yellow ones, but they'll settle for a red one if they can't find a yellow one. And your agents find each other and they cut a deal. And when you wake up in the morning, oh, well, Marco, you didn't get all 10 red frogs, but you got 8, you got 2 yellows. That's a win, right? You're happy. So you there's a whole lot of building and testing that's going to have to go into that. But one example I can think of off the top is the big push now. People are recognizing tokenized assets, right? Oh, I don't want a Bitcoin, but I want to sell, I want to swap or exchange some of my USDC. Say I want a tokenized version of IBM stock. Boom, there it is. You go, you can put it in and it'll go find that tokenized. Maybe there's 10 different entities making tokenized IBM stocks out there. Well, your agent isn't just going to buy you've instructed your agent to go do due diligence on all those to make sure you only get the one or two sellers that are the real thing, right? You got maybe somebody that's a little shady trying to unload theirs, and your agent is going to figure that out and quit dealing with that and only deal with the legit, right? Whatever you can do today, you can have your agent do in this. Reggie invented a new term, or maybe it's not a new, but it was new to me, is phygital.
Yeah,
PHY, right?
I
The
saw that
cross
too.
between a physical and a digital asset is the smart metal tokens rounds. Has an NFT, the digital has a physical silver. The combination, the NFT and the agents, you're into a combination world, right? Phygital,
Yeah, it's
phygital.
great. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So this is the this is the exciting concept of this basically barterized exchange out here, right? When you think about that, anything I need to raise some money because I have an emergency I need to settle. So I'm rummaging through my house looking for stuff to sell. I can pop it in there. It's your Craigslist version, right? Except instead of needing dollars, if you're in the US, or Canadian dollars in Canada, or Australian or whatever currency, oh, this is Cliff's uh, this is like that model on steroids because you don't need dollars now. You can, I'm selling, my frogs for a car or whatever. It's any to any out
And think
here.
about the friction this alleviates. Like in our last verified, you talked about how you had to sell an asset and go through the steps of first selling it, transferring it over to ETH, bridging it from our base 2 to ETH, and then taking that ETH and then sending it to an exchange, and then turning that trade into fiat and then withdrawing it from the exchange. And each one of those steps has a fee involved.
There's a middleman, whether or not they add value is debatable. There's a middleman on every step taking a cut. That
Mhm.
example you used. Oh, I withdrew some from a liquidity pool. Well, there's gas fee minimum, but maybe even pool fees to pull it out. right? We don't want you pulling it out. And you pull it out, well, you're going to pay. Okay. All right. Oh, dang, that was on base. But, I'm using Gemini and they only allow, me to deposit coins off the Ethereum chain. Oh, well, let me bridge them down from base to the Ethereum chain. More fees, more gas, more fees, bridging fee. Okay. Well, you're right. Yeah, I got it down there. Well, it's Ethereum on the Ethereum chain. Well, now I send it over to Gemini. Well, there's more gas fees getting it over to Gemini. Oh, then a nice big fat swap fee. Swap that Gemini to dollar, that Ethereum to dollars on Gemini. Oh, then potentially another fee if you want to wire it to your bank account.
Hmm.
Oh, and my bank account slaps another receive fee for receiving the wire. What? What? No, no, no. This world, we just cut all of that out, and we have the original person and the one on the end, whatever it may be. You know, uh, maybe this is my bank account with dollars, right? And I'm swapping from some weird asset and directly to dollars, whatever that is. But
Bronx.
more likely it's a person, right? I have somebody else on the other end of the line, and those middlemen are gone. This site you could call it as a middleman, and sort of it's a facilitating the two people to come together. And I could tack on a fee on there and maybe you wouldn't notice, but if you started swapping here, but this one had essentially no fees outside of an IP fee, but this guy, what? Oh, there's a swap. Oh, screw that. I'll invent my own, or you're not going to be able to do that anymore
Yeah.
unless you add value. Maybe, I'm adding value in this iteration because they only allow Bitcoin or USDC. And, this guy's got four now and they only have two. Well, let's use him. He's got more features. Well, spy versus spy. This guy's going to add those four on and he'll add one of his own. Well, then I got to catch up here, right? But I can't add fees. I'm going to have to add functionality to be able to stay on par or people won't use me. But if I put a fee on there and I don't add value that would correspond to that fee, no, no, you're gone. Maybe some really super future version, there is a middle box in here and it's a physical asset and you have a tokenized box. And then a tokenized comes out the other end and you pay a fee to tokenize your physical. That'd be a value added middleman, right?
Right.
Because without that middleman, that tokenized asset would not exist.
Sure.
Maybe the owner themselves tokenize it, but probably not. If you have a mine and you have gold and silver in the ground, you have expenses monthly, baby. You don't, instead of taking a draw or, trying to pre-sell, well, just tokenize some of that gold right in the ground and sell that off. There you go.
Yeah, I
Right?
think just to add to that, one of the points about a middleman is that's like you said, some do add value. Reggie actually made a good point and brought up an example of using an ambulance. If you were to call an ambulance to get to the hospital, well, the ambulance actually is a middleman, but it adds value because it's getting you or whoever to the hospital and at the quickest, shortest amount of time because it's an emergency and you actually need that service. So it does provide a useful, quantifiable service.
Right? In that moment, you and your agent would be willing to spend almost any amount to get the fastest, most competent ambulance to you immediately, right?
Hmm. Or
Maybe
a
in the
helicopter
future,
if needed.
yeah. Hey, we add services to this model, emergency services, right? It's the same thing. There are for pay hospitals and ambulances, and then there's open source, so to speak, kind that
Uber.
right that'll do it, but it costs you different risks. So yeah, any to any, and it's not just product. as we just said, now there's services. Oh, Tom wants to go in here and sell his new AI skills. I'll, you know, I'll, I'll come in and add 10 agents to your business and automate your billing for X amount of, whatever he wants out of it. Wouldn't even have to be currency, could be anything, right?
Service for
Tom,
service. Maybe he wants haircuts or something.
yeah, Tom need, you know, Tom I don't know Tom, so I won't, if that was Marco needs some house cleaning services. So he's willing to expend some of his labor to build a Waku node customized in exchange for somebody who will give me an equivalent, what both parties think is an equivalent amount of cleaning services. Those are the that's going to be the real skill in here is what do you do in that box?
Hmm.
Negotiating when even before when you instruct your agent, that's the Reggie level skill of knowing what the value of things, right?
Sure.
Uh, Today we look up the price of things. Well, one Bitcoin, 113,000 or whatever. Okay. In tomorrow's world, maybe there'll probably be price boards no matter what. But if you're selling your Bitcoin for frogs, there's not going to be any price listing that shows how many frogs per Bitcoin. Your agent's going to have to do it, right?
Yeah, and I'm already seeing this expanding because this is really just a user interface at this point. This could be expanded to include like the PPE, for instance, where you're investing some effort into looking for um, a patent infringement as an example, or a lawyer, you're looking for a lawyer, or you know what I mean? Like you said, services, and it can really just expand so much farther than just a simple trade.
It's so true. It by eliminating that order book or that catalog entries or it's open. It's literally that catalog is the world. Whatever you have that you want to swap for, put it out there and see, right? Now the interface, you're right. This is just the interface. That's going to have to change, but the terms that you put in that interface for your uh, offer, your interest, your intent. If I can
Hmm.
get the word out. You're putting your intent out there. Uh, the magic sauce is going to be how your agent. How do you instruct your agent in what you're doing? And the really successful ones are going to be the ones that, like in today, like Reggie's been instructing us how to give custom instructions to our LLM. I'm using a variation of that model to build this code with LLMs that aren't up to the task, but we're getting the job done by modifying my technique. But it's kind of opens up the entire world into this interface in a way.
Absolutely. And I'd actually like to see the DAO kind of integrate some kind of uh, tutorial vids or some master classes on how to create or run your own node, how to interact with your agents, and how to build out a storefront, and how to really kind of fully maximize your ability to use these nodes.
That's really good. That leads into the next segment of our discussion topics. And let me share again. What we've talked about so far has literally been limited to, well, I gave a really brief highlight, but most of our time's been spent here, right, in this intent swapping space. But if I maximize my screen now, and we're still in that space, that community is the terminology I've adopted. Other Waku nodes, OpChan put out a proof of concept chat board where they call them cells, for example. You could call them rooms, for example, the terminologies, whatever you want it to be. The Waku terminologies community. So I went with that. And so here's my, if I just hover on this, you see that's the swap testnet intent community. But if we go to a different community, and I just click that. Look what happens. First, it tells me, oh, I switched to a different one. This is completely different. This has nothing to do with, this is just some messages. Yep. This is just basically an empty message board that you can use to build on. This is sort of the out of the box basic one that, you can put a message in here that says, hello world, all caps. And when I click send, transmits out to the broadcast to the network, goes, gets relayed back to my node, and I see, oh, hello world pops in with the time and date. Well, now if we extend that concept to different types of communities, this is just okay, I can see it's just a simple chat thing.
Is this an example of what a room could look like whenever you are uh, like a P2P channel? Whenever you're looking to negotiate with somebody else? I know
It,
this is
it,
just your kind of version of what it could look like, but as an example, you're basically going into a private room where you're negotiating your deal, and it could look like something like this.
it probably would look something like this if you were in the negotiation instead of your agent with maybe some other buttons and controls on here,
Sure.
right? Of okay, you're doing something on the side, right? Go do have your agent do some work, background, whatever, and then you're ready to for the next offer to this guy, right? And so there's some buttons that control that flow. But yeah, essentially, this is sort of the core of the whole thing is there's a message that gets broadcast and then relayed out to the entire network. And people are that's a public square. If it's a regular room and not a private room, anybody can go there if they know how to decipher that message.
Right.
These happen to be just in plain text, so that they're easy to for anyone to decipher. You go into other rooms, for example, I've got some other ones I'm working on here. Oh, this seems interesting. This one says private. There's some different stuff here. You'll see, oh, it even looks different here. Now, when I post in here, there's a little blue, call it a bubble, right? A speech bubble. I put something there. You could extend this thought concept of, oh, well, in today's world, we use Telegram. We have a Veritaseum official community and a speculation room. And we go in there and we post messages and we read other people. And it's not here yet, but you can put an attachment in or refer to another post, or that's all coming here. So what I'm building here is the P2P replacement for our Telegram chat rooms.
And
And
this is akin to a blockchain, but it's not actually a blockchain. It's running on the nodes.
right, this one runs on test-community/1/chat/proto. And if you have the right, uh, I'll call it deciphering method, the proto in this case, to decipher this, you could have this same screen, in white on your homepage, whatever. But then there will be an overlay on here. Say I'm an admin and we have a bad actor that joined in. We want to get rid of him. There'll be an overlay on here where you can click into that, and it's going to bring you into another like deeper level of, oh, we've got a moderation view here now.
Hmm.
Uh, you can see I moderated that guy. I first warned him it didn't work. Then I muted him. That didn't work. Oh, here's what
Oh,
we
wow.
can move it, his message. We can warn him. Let's just ban him. That guy, this is the third time he's gone, right? A reason so this is all very rudimentary kind of just, this code is only a day old here itself. Seems like forever ago, but so there's that level. Then there's another higher level, I guess you could look at it, of system wide messages. So there will be another overlay. Say Reggie gets his ninth patent and we want to announce it to all the rooms. Well, pop an announcement, content, send it out. Every room under our umbrella at
Wow.
the top of it will get the pinned message, right? So things like that. Or, ooh, we just discovered another hacker or this other site got hacked. We need to send an alert to everybody, right? Warning to the world, whatever it is. Oh, version 2 coming, got an upgrade. Want to warn everyone, save off any work, what, right? Oh, so all that functionality. Actually, I've built that based on an existing model. It was actually a proof of concept. I'll bring that up now. And I'm cherry picking components from it. But this was an effort off the Logos site where they built an OpChan, the Chan style chat messaging boards. And so this was a proof of concept. So the data in here is not, it's not real it's not a real product being used. It was real as a proof of concept demo. But I'm pulling elements out of here and then adopting them into my implementation, part of which is that moderator and that system-wide messaging setup. They have in here, so they have a feed. We may end up doing right that the oh, it's in my other screen. That window we were just looking at, that might be our feed, right? Of maybe there's a Veri DAO feed or whatever. Uh, Individual rooms on there. These could be public or private. They call them cells, right? So, oh, they have, somebody wants to talk about wild parrots. There we go, right? We got a group with wild parrots. Go join it and chat away. Or maybe there's a gate to the community. Oh, in order to view it, we want you to do something. Oh, well, you're going to need to connect your wallet, right? Maybe in our world, well, we only want, actual SmartMetal NFT holders in this discussion for whatever reason, because, we want to make sure that you're actually a member of the community before you come into, we want to keep spammers or whatever.
Sure.
Oh, well, you could connect your wallet that contains your SmartMetal NFT on the base chain. And if you had the NFT in your wallet, you slide right in. If you don't, oh, here, let me refer you over to our Veri DAO sales portal where you can buy an NFT associated with the round, and then you can come join us, right? You could use a lot of different models here. You could use Reggie's private key model. Well, I have part of it, you have part of it, and that's our private chat. You could use a different token. You could say, well, this is the very community chat. You must own at least one Veritaseum token to get in. And the check is, well, you connect your wallet, and if you have 1.0 or more Veri on the Ethereum chain or the base chain as defined by this contract or that contract, you're right in. Otherwise, here's where you can go. There's a cool little site right here. You can go over and get yourself a Veri token so you can come right on in.
Wow. So that's
Kind
not
of,
necessarily an expense, or they're not trying to create a cost or a transaction. It's literally more of a check just to validate that you actually uh, should be
yeah,
in.
gate. It's a gate to let people in with the right key.
Huh.
If you want to go swim in the community pool, you have to have a gate key because they don't want little kids in. And
Right.
there's a process to get it, but there's a process and everyone follows it, right? And that process could be any number of things. The open nature of the Waku is their nature is just to make it open unless you want it private, and then to make it really private. So you can do anything in between those two extents. Let me come back over to mine now, and we can kind of brainstorm a little bit. Now, we talked about the chat model here. So we've got an intense offering side slash you can exchange, go in and do your swaps. Now we've layered on, we've got communities where we can go in and chat, and we have the ability to moderate those people, right? It's not just a free form where you could do that. It'd just be total spam within minutes or days. That you can do whatever you want if that's your community. You could make a lockdown private chat with just you and your own work group, where the only way in is whatever you define, right? Uh, you must be in a list somewhere, right? If you're not in this list, you can't get into this group. And somebody maintains that master list. That'd be the pool key analogy, right? You go up to the counter and you say, I want to go into the pool, and you give them your driver's license or whatever, and they give you the key on a ring, and you go, you get in the pool. But there's a protocol of doing it. Each community has their own protocol, open, closed, whatever. Maybe this isn't a chat community at all. Maybe what this is you come in here and you say, looking for, white refrigerator, however you spell it. Some of my keyboard keys are missing, so it's hard to type. For less than 1,000 US. Now, you post that, and it's kind of like a chat room. You post it out there. Oh, it was sent. There's my message. But now, instead of just a chat room where people are talking, oh, I've got my agent. Somebody's agent or agents are in here monitoring this thing. And I own an appliance store. And my agent just sits out here and looks for people that want to buy appliances. And I've got a hot tip right here. I got this guy or somebody's agent. They want a white refrigerator for under $1,000. Man, I got one of those out in the warehouse. Let's go. And you give them your padlock. And the other guy sees that and he's like, oh, white fridge? 1,000 or yeah, let's see what he's got. He does it. Boom. You both go into your private room and negotiate. This is all in Reggie's model. All of
Phenomenal.
it. Even though you're buying a refrigerator, has nothing to do with technology or anything whatsoever. This falls under Reggie's patents because of how you're doing it, what could be implemented. And it just goes to show you now the paradigm shift of, I didn't come in here and click a little drop down that said, show me your refrigerators. And then I sorted through them and I found a white one for 1,000. Nah, why waste your time doing that, right? We have 1 million agents out there selling appliances, and let your agent go work with them. Let it do the heavy lifting. All you know is, this is my public statement. My private statement is, right, I'll accept a scratch and dent. I really don't want the stainless steel, but if I get a good deal for under 600, I'll take that. All those parameters you could bake in, let your agent run. And if the seller, if they're kind of hungry, they're like, well, yeah, we want 1,000, but man, we picked this thing up with that. Remember, we got that whole container full from China for 500 each. We'll go all the way down to 550, right? Boom. But those guys, make them wait. We can't deliver for a month or, whatever. And if both of those, it's barter. It's high tech barter. And if the both of those sets of parameters make a match, you have a deal. And there you go. You got a deal. Gets consummated. Reggie's code. If I go back over to his now, let me drop this. Comes back in. You create a deal in here, and it's off the bottom of the screen. But maybe the message your agent sends back to you is good news. I got a white refrigerator. It has a small dent on the right side that won't show, but I got it for $700 and it's going to be delivered on the first. What a way, right? I'm headed to happy hour because I don't have to go to the appliance store now. So that's kind of, a high level view of some of the concepts we got going. And you talked about some tools for the Veritaseum community. So another one of those communities, Veri token holders tools. You can go in, validate the contracts, go see, maybe, has information on, I don't know what could all be in there in tomorrow's world, but, tool tips for Veri token holders. What are good wallets, right? What's a good wallet to use? I hate MetaMask. Are there any others? All that kind of stuff. It's kind of a wide open platform. We can do whatever we want. It's so exciting.
It is
That's why I was up till all hours last night. I knew I was going to be up early with you on this. I couldn't stop. I'm like,
exciting.
oh my God, this is so cool. It's just so exciting. And I was in a role with Grok. I had gotten to a good chat session, and I shouldn't say, Grok was making good deliverables and whatnot, but it reinvigorated me just working on the stuff. I got so excited thinking about, right, the new platform with Reggie's coming, and my mind, I've got 3 pages of scribbled notes of things I want to build in that I'm not even there yet, but I thought of, and all right, save that one for later. It's a good idea, and then keep on going. And that went on till 3 this morning until finally I was like, oh man, I better 6 o'clock's coming. It's coming fast. So
Well, it sounds
it
cliche. It sounds cliche, but this literally is the future. Like we're at the doorstep of it.
we are literally that's I guess that's partly what's so exciting is this we're in uncharted territory here, right?
Hmm.
And it doesn't have the risk of, you know, being in Columbus's boat crossing the ocean trying to find another continent, but it's the virtual equivalent of that, right? We're in uncharted territory. Nobody's really been here. There are, it's a good point. There are large instances built on the Waku concept, though. Waku P2P status .im is an example, right? They're a messaging chat platform that's built on Waku, of which I've got some of their concepts built into mine as well. So it, you know, that all the Waku world, it was tough cracking into it. It was kind of a brutal learning experience for me, but now once I'm in,
You're
it's
hooked.
one of those, once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'll
Yep.
never, yeah. And also knowing it reduces your risk exposure tremendously on the regulatory front, on if you build it right, on hackers. It adds in privacy, which is being eroded away so rapidly, in today's old world. I'm already calling it the old world and new world because that's how it feels. The
Hmm.
P, it's so different, literally so different. I go all day. I think of things that how am I going to put this into a P2P environment? Everywhere I go, there's examples because everything is built on the old world today, and everyone is chasing blockchain now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm I'm putting my company on the blockchain or I'm putting my app on the blockchain and I got Web3, baby. And well, they're already chasing yesterday's technology. This, what we are looking at when it's built out, won't even need, blockchain will be an optional component. You don't even need it.
Crazy.
If you want to transact an asset that's on a blockchain, yeah, you're going to need it, right? By necessity, but it's not required to close a deal. We have HTLCs for that, right? We don't need we don't need a central hosting Amazon Web Services. You know, we might want to do it that way too. That's a little different piece of the model, but you don't need that centralized component anymore.
It's funny you said centralized because I just did a video that I'm probably going to release today on the Google AP2, which uses the agent payment protocol. But that's centralized, right? Like that's running through a centralized doorways.
Centralized and in combination with Coinbase's protocol, right?
That's right. That's
40,
right.
whatever it was,
X402. Yeah.
X402 protocol. Those that's controlled by Coinbase,
Hmm.
right? The other thing's controlled by Google.
Yeah.
Uh,
Waku kind of sets us aside and makes this a lot different than what the legacy system is trying to build out.
yes, they're building it in their controlled world. Other people like us are building it in this P2P world, and they're they may look the same. If you went to their website, maybe buying the agent refrigerator, it kind of looks like that, but behind the covers, it's entirely different. Theirs is all centralized infrastructure behind
Mhm.
it, guaranteed.
Yeah.
And this is all Waku, decentralized nodes out there running. They,
To me,
it's
to
what's
me,
that?
it seems like it actually could be the answer to, the whole CBDC scare that everyone's kind of worried about, digital ID and this whole monster beast system that everyone's worried about getting pulled into. And this could actually be a solution to kind of work around that whole idea.
Right? You think about it, what they're controlling with the CBDC is your currency. Okay, huh. We don't need currency for our system. We end run right around them. Yeah,
Mhm.
you can do everything. You can ban me from that world all you want. Okay, I just come over here to my node and I broadcast an intent out, and somewhere else somebody picks it up on Waku, and there's not a damn thing they can do to stop it. Not a single thing.
That's
There's no intermediaries unless we decide to put them in there, unless they truly add value, which
really add
can.
value. Yeah.
Other than that, no, your front end screen looks similar. It's the book behind the cover is way different. The contents of the book are extremely different. They still have an order book, right? They have an order book of refrigerators out there they're implementing.
Hmm.
And it gets closed on the blockchain. Take away the blockchain, they're dead in the water. Take away their order book, they're dead in the water. They're a target for any kind of bad guy. Any centralized anything is a target for bad guys because why do you rob a bank? Well, that's where the money is. Well, that's the way it used to be anyway,
Sure.
right? Well, that's where the regulators go as well. One reason because they can, right? But if there's nothing there to regulate, how do they regulate it? There's no middleman. Who are you going to regulate it? Okay, you can go pitch a tizzy fit because, well, I locked him out of my CBDC, but he's still out there transacting. Yeah, I don't need your CBDC, bro. I got my own Barterville right here, my own new age barter. Thank you, Reggie Middleton. We don't need your CBDC anymore or any of the stuff that goes with it.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people like even Catherine Austin Fitts talking about, using cash, and I see the value in using cash to kind of keep your transactions private. But at the end of the day, cash is losing its value so fast that it's not a sustainable answer. You could pivot to silver and gold. But again, not everybody has silver and gold. So this, and it's an truthfully, it's a little bit of an archaic way of transacting, right? Because you're not going to be able to, without it being tokenized and actually, added to something like what we're working on here, you need to be physically there, person to person, to be able to make that transaction, and that in the world that we're moving to is not realistic.
You
Um,
can you can mitigate it. You can ship it so you don't have to be there in person, and then you're opening up all kinds of new risks and counterparties and middlemen, right?
exactly.
All- And Catherine Austin Fitz, I appreciate her. I've followed her for years. She's a bit of a worrywart on this one. If she understood P2P, well, we'll just, you know, it's a speed bump. We're just driving around.
Yeah.
It doesn't impede us anymore.
Yeah,
Right?
I think everyone's still worried about the whole to me this reminds me of the atom bomb where it can be used for good, nuclear power, free or very low cost energy, or it could be used as a weapon, right? And I think we're kind of seeing the exact same thing pan out here with the financial system. And what Reggie's invented is very much not only the foundation, but as a workaround.
And it's so true. Everything you said, and it's the foundation, but it's not just financial anymore. They're all their control, well, most of it, it's all around the currency and the financial aspects, locking you out of that world or letting you into that world, or you can have this much, but not that. That's all gone. Okay, maybe they could, well, I'm sure, I have no doubt, given my personal experiences, which I'll share someday, but I have no doubt they could come pick me off individually for what I'm doing and what I built. And he's a bad guy and he did this or that and lock me up and make up the charges. But there's a million more Marcos out there right behind me in the P2P world that you're not going to be able to go find and lock up because
Hmm.
three-quarters of them aren't even in your jurisdiction anymore. They're off on a different part of the world transacting with your people. You think they're your people, but they're people of Earth, so they ought to be able to transact in anything. And that's what Reggie's bringing. It's not just financial, it's every asset on Earth will be able to trade on this platform without the bad guys and the middle guys and the people taking their cut. And that's why I get so excited and kind of up on my soapbox about the stuff. And I work till 3 in the morning because it's so exciting. This what's coming. It's here. We're on the verge of it, right? It's no. I always got the vision, but it was never real for me because the tools to make it happen weren't there.
Right.
Who wasn't there? You know, we had the Vader back in the day, but the Vader had its own catalog of assets, and only those assets could swap on there, right? Ultracoin, little more open, but similar kind of thing. But now, any to any, I, that's like music to my ears without the gatekeeper, because I really don't like the gatekeepers. When you when you when you've been locked out, right? Well, for part of my investing career, I was an accredited person just because of the amount of assets I had, right? Didn't mean I was smart. I was dumber. I was a much dumber, more foolish investor back then. But I was accredited because I have the assets and they let me buy anything. Well, now I'm locked out because of personal circumstances. I'm not accredited. Oh, you can't buy this one, or I can't even buy Trump's thing because you got to be accredited. Oh, screw that. We there is no accreditation in this world. Your accreditation is, oh, you found a way to the public square, you brought an intent, and you can close an offer. You're in. That's it. There's nobody locking you out of here. There's no gatekeeper. There's nobody you got to go give your ID and KYC and oh my God, I've so many of those have got hacked now. I turned off all incoming phone call. If you're not in my list, you can't get in anymore
Sure.
because my emails have been leaked out to the world. There's so many hackers, everybody, right? Oh, your Coinbase account, call immediately if this wasn't you. Yeah, Mr. Hacker, I don't have a Coinbase account anymore, so I kind of think your message is a scam. Oh, we can eliminate all that out here. We've got tools to eliminate the high volume scammers through the RLN or through gated entry in our community. We got moderation tools if they, right? If they got in, they snuck under our radar and got in and start bad things. Well, just because you're in, don't mean you're going to stay in, right? Uh, on the flip side, anybody's welcome. You can find it's a public square. This ain't Tiananmen Square. This is a public square, right? You can come in and transact. And so that's what's so exciting. We're building it for everybody, people of Earth, right? We're getting rid of generations of that crap over our head, and it's not easy, and they're fighting back hard. That's why Reggie's under attack full time like he is. And, I'm on my soapbox now because of all this, but this brings promise to get us out of that mode and into the new world.
I
That's
agree. And what a great place to wrap it up, actually. And I'd love to have you back because I really want to dive a little deeper into the whole node topic. I'm definitely curious on how to run or even potentially build a node. So yeah, I'm looking forward to picking your brain more about the nodes. And yeah, just thank you for your time, and I look forward to doing this again.
You bet, most definitely. And for the community, know that the Veri DAO and the Veri community, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. People don't see it's the iceberg. There's only 10% of it's visible, and there's a lot going on. So there's a lot to be excited about.
Sure.
And it's good to be associated with people like you, Riz. It's a good
Yeah.
community. Thanks for
Likewise.
having me on.
Likewise. Thank you, Marco. Excited to see
Appreciate
that iceberg flip over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or at least be able to see the whole iceberg and not, know there's more there than just the tip. Yeah.
Sure. Well, thanks again for your time. And like I said, we're going to do this again. And I'm looking forward to it. And
Thanks
to
much.
everybody else, thank you for joining us. And yeah, I will see you guys next time.
Take care.
Thanks, Marco.